everybody. I'm Tiffany Justice. I'm owner and broker of JT Realty. I'm here with another episode of Augusta Business Connection Spotlight. I am also one of the admins of the Augusta Business Connection Facebook page, where we have over 18,000 local CSRA members, where we promote small businesses and we try to connect everybody together, networking at its finest. Today, I'm here with Tommy Woods. He is the owner of Savannah River Residential. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Tommy.
I'm local to the area. I grew up here. Graduated at Westside High School, grew up in Montclair. My family's been here. My mom and dad grew up here, and we're glad to be a part of this community in this area.
Absolutely, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about what inspired you to start your own business.
My family. I grew up in a similar business. My dad owned his own pest control business. We did pest inspections, and we're through that, and then grew up in some of the building communities as a superintendent in the past. And when I got out of the military, I had to figure out what was next on the list. And I had a background in it. So I just chose to get into inspections and try to provide and leave a legacy for my family one day.
Absolutely. So kind of a family business passed down over the time. Yeah. So you do house inspections, you do pest control. Is there any other specialties? Yeah,
we also include moisture control. So we'll encapsulate or do polybarriers. We also install dehumidifiers. We do mold testing as well. When that comes around, we have a third party facility we use out of Texas. So we try to do a whole house check, the whole healthy house thing.
Absolutely. So. What is one of a good story of an inspection you'll never forget?
Actually, just recently, we were in a house and we know that the crawl door was sealed. And we found the crawl door in a bookshelf. So it's straight out of a Halloween movie. You have to slide down in. It's almost like you're getting into a coffin to 18-inch crawl space. And
I couldn't do that.
We're not little fellas. So while we're going around, and Adam, our operations manager, he's like 6'8". He got in there as well. So that's one I probably won't forget for a long time, going through a bookshelf in a living room down through the floor.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. It's kind of like a Harry Potter type situation.
I didn't know where we were going to pop out, but it worked out.
Oh gosh. Speaking of Adam, so he's a very tall guy.
Absolutely.
He's a very tall guy. Don't have to use ladders with him around.
Oh no, you can check everything flat-footed.
Yes, absolutely. So he's your operations manager, and he also does pest control for you as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Over in South Carolina. And tell me a little bit about how you guys met.
So when I got out of the military and I first started this inspection business, I worked for a company, the Starbucks manufacturing plant, and that was to kind of facilitate the family needs while I was trying to grow. Adam and I actually got hired at the exact same time, and we just clicked. We worked on the same shift. We'd done some low down dirty work, and he just stuck with it. And we just worked together. Our personalities worked well, and he's a great loyal friend. And I couldn't ask anybody else to be that close in business with.
That's amazing. I like that. What's one piece of advice that you would give me if I was starting my own business?
Go for it. There's so many limitations that everybody puts on themselves because they're scared. They don't know what the next step is. That next step always shows itself. You're scared, you're timid, and you try to put those restrictions. Let them go. Just do it. Everything's going to work out. It's all going to be okay. And if it doesn't, it's still going to be okay.
Right.
Get to a point where you can hire a good CPA and get some good friends that are also in business. I've been thankful to have some great mentors along the way. And I still ask. Don't be shy to ask for advice because we all learn as we go.
Absolutely.
And I find myself still trying to pick people's brains. What do I need to do? How do we do this?
Absolutely.
We're almost 10 years total in business, and I still feel like I'm behind on a lot of things, but it's okay. There's a lot of people in our area that are great. They're all willing to help and just seek out advice.
Absolutely.
It's a big thing.
And that's one of the biggest things for me is surround yourself with people that know more than you do. So you're always consistently learning, share your knowledge with someone else.
Absolutely.
There's plenty of room at the table, to share that knowledge.
Never be scared to help the guy coming up. They're not coming for your job. They're just coming for themselves.
Exactly.
They're just trying to help out their family or whatever their need is. There's plenty of room in this area. Help the next guy out.
Absolutely.
And it all comes around.
It does.
Augusta's so small.
It is.
For a big town, we're so small. Everybody knows everybody.
Exactly.
And it's all worth it in the end. So
Yes.
if I was going to tell anybody that was starting out, I would just tell them, just put all the fear aside and just go for it.
Absolutely.
Everything works itself out.
It does. It does. And when you make mistakes, you learn from those mistakes.
That's
so
right.
then, there's never going to be any business that doesn't have a mistake or something. It's just how you recover from it or how you move on from it.
How do you handle it?
Exactly.
We're all going to make mistakes. We're human. It's what people want to see is, how do you handle their mistake? Do you really take it personal? Are you really going to take the time to seek them out and repair that mistake and recover? Or are you going to treat them like a number and just push them aside?
Right.
We've had our mistakes in the past, and thankfully we've resolved them. And a lot of those customers are long-term customers this day because of the way you handle them.
Right.
And again, seek out advice and that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
People in similar industries, even though we're all different businesses, we're very similar service industries.
Right.
They can guide you on what to do about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you mentioned that it was sort of kind of a family thing.
Yeah.
Are you planning on setting this up for your children?
I would love to. That would be the goal, would be to create a business that grows to the point where they're sustained in a department if they choose to.
Absolutely.
If they are hard-headed as I was at that age, I was defiant.
Yeah.
I was never going to get into pest control.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to do any of this. And here I am. I mean, so.
Never say never.
That's right. It took me a few hard life lessons and some reality checks to realize that, honestly, this is where I need to be.
Right.
And when I let that fall into place, every day I feel like I am doing what I'm supposed to do with my life now. I feel like this is where God led me to this point. And no matter how hard I tried to push that away, I still wound up back doing something of this nature in this field. And I believe I'm where I'm supposed to be. So if my kids choose to do that, I'd be grateful. If they don't, well, I mean, I just hope we have a good ride.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know I always said, I worked in sales most of my life and worked in call centers and all that. And I always said, when I left my last call center, AT&T, they shut down, they let us go. And I said, I will never be in sales again. I will never do that. And look at where I'm at.
Right back in sales.
Yeah, exactly. It just feels like it's natural to me. You've been doing it for so long and you want to deny it and you want to say, this is not what I was meant to do. I was meant to do something else. And then life just has a way of pushing you right back into what you know.
And once you find that, it just feels natural.
It does.
And no matter how hard you try to figure something else out, right? Because we're all looking for what's the next shiny object.
Yes.
You always come back to what your fit is.
Exactly.
So we all have our place. I like talking to people. I'm a talker.
Yeah.
And you know me. I'm going to talk to people. We're going to tell stories. We're going to tell lies. We're going to have a good time.
Right.
But I feel like that also fits in our field.
Yes.
Because we do talk to people face to face. We do have to explain things. And the same with you, because coming from a sales background, y'all have to do the same thing in your field.
Absolutely. So, you have to reassure your clients. You have to also educate them on what you're finding.
Inspection reports.
Exactly. Oh yeah. Yeah. Those are fantastic. I love inspection reports.
What does this mean?
Exactly. But that's the thing too, it's like, sometimes you have to deliver not so great news, to a client. And I think it's all in how you portray it to them and how you can, relate to them on a personal level.
Absolutely.
I've seen you tell someone some very bad news and they were like, oh, okay. When I was totally expecting oh God, what am I going to do?
It's a fact-based thing.
Yes.
A lot of people are scared of the inspections. When we get into the report process, everybody's like, oh, what am I going to fail?
Right.
It's not a pass fail, right? It's common knowledge about what's going on with your house. We want to investigate, find out what's happening in your house so you know about the investment you're making.
Right.
Anything can be fixed. It's kind of like a car, right?
Yes.
People restore old cars all the time. They do it with old homes. It's what you want your investment to be.
Exactly.
So there could be problems.
Right.
There's also a way to fix
Solutions,
it. And as long as you have those in place and you don't make it some detrimental thing, because in my opinion, nothing's so detrimental it can't be fixed.
Right.
Or there wouldn't be
Absolutely.
electricians, plumbers, or anybody else in these service
right,
businesses.
Exactly.
Just give them the facts and let them sort it out from there.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of where you come in. And
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the other thing too, networking with people who, again, sharing, the knowledge and sharing things with people that could also help you or your clients.
Right.
Hey, this may be a problem, but I know this guy XYZ who could probably help you out with it. Give him a call. Making that connection with other business owners is very, very important and vital for a business to survive. I mean, if you're willing to say, hey, I found this problem, but I'm also willing to help you try to find a solution. And then you go to another business and you say, hey, could you help them? I mean, that's what it's all about right there.
It's huge. And the people you meet along the way, it's amazing. Even like Augusta Business, the connection meetings y'all do. I've met people in there that their lanes stop at where my lanes stop.
Right.
And where we could put in a dehumidifier, do vapor barriers and all that, we don't do restoration work for flood damage and all that.
Right.
Well, I've met some very great people along the way that do that kind of work.
Right, exactly.
Well, that kind of works hand in hand. And being able to explain that we know people that can help, whether they choose to go with them people or not.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
entirely up to the client.
Absolutely.
But it's been very helpful in building not only our business, but helping create a client rapport.
Absolutely.
Because our connections have helped them further.
Exactly. So what's one mistake that you did starting your business or that you probably learned from, or maybe it was a happy mistake?
I've made a lot. I think I'm still making some.
Aren't we all?
I mean, I've learned the hard way that wording matters on reports. Pictures matter. Not only in the home inspection, but in the pest control field.
Absolutely.
If you take timestamp pictures, it shows that what was there the day you were there matters.
Right. Absolutely.
And we've paid for some of that.
Yeah.
So verbiage.
Yes.
And it's not always word of mouth and a shake of a hand.
Yes.
Sometimes you have to have proof.
Right.
So we've learned the hard ways on some of that stuff. I'm going to make mistakes tomorrow. I'm going to make them next week.
Absolutely.
But I try to learn from each one of them.
Absolutely.
And we change our process along the way for them. I would like to say one sticks out more than the others. But I think they all have a lasting impression somewhere.
Always a lesson learned.
Each one's its own little stab,
exactly.
right?
Exactly. Always a lesson learned.
That's it. And
Add it to the book.
When you get close to treading on another one, you're like, hey, you remember that time?
Yeah.
Adam and I sit in the truck and we have our little meetings and we have a little book of these things.
Yes.
And we talk about it. And when one of us gets close to walking that line again, the other one's nudging them like, hey, man, you remember this time?
This one time at band camp. No, I'm just kidding.
I think the biggest mistake was probably not bringing Adam along or somebody else along sooner.
Right.
He actually helped us hit another level because he was able to cover things that I felt so spread out, so thin, trying to make everything happen. And bringing him on actually helped cover more, so less clients actually went without. We were able to cover more work. We were able to do it with a quality fashion because I'm not,
you're only one person.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're only one person, and running your own business, and you're everything. You're the CPA, you're the general manager, you're the operations manager, you're everything in that you're only one person.
And doing that around, I have two young kids. I have a 7 and 8 year old, and doing that around their football and school and all that stuff, it can be difficult. So the biggest mistake was not bringing somebody early, thinking I was, letting my ego get in the way, thinking I can handle it all.
Right.
You can't.
Yeah.
And all the other mistakes along the way, I think that one probably was the most important fix we made, was bringing a good team in.
Yes.
We've got some other guys that come with us that do a great job.
Right.
I would like to say we got some of the best vapor barrier guys around, some of the best installers that there are. And without that team, I wouldn't be where I am.
Right. Absolutely. You got to have a good team behind
so I call it a mistake, but it was a good lesson.
It was a happy mistake. It was a happy mistake.
That's right.
So you mentioned your kids. I also realized that you are a coach for your sons. Is it Little League?
Baseball team.
Baseball
yes,
team,
ma'am.
yeah.
Assistant coach.
Coach.
I was never good enough to be a real coach.
Trying to raise the next baseball star.
I would, honestly, I just hope he picks something. I love the fact that my kids are outdoor kids.
Yes.
They have video games and they play them.
Yeah.
They love being on the lake. They love riding on the boat. Mason loves baseball. He's in football season right now.
Oh, nice.
He is over the moon about being named the starting quarterback for his little 8-year-old team. It's his first year at it, so we'll see.
That's awesome.
But as long as he's happy and he's energetic, I'm proud for him.
Absolutely.
And then Kendall, my little baby girl, she's honestly, she's the sweetest little thing in the world.
She definitely is.
And
she definitely is.
She can pull your heartstrings quick.
She can pull some heartstrings. She's already done it with me several times.
I looked over and y'all had her feeding like fried pickles last night.
She picked all the pickles out of it.
She does it at home. I caught her the other day. She finished half a pickle jar and then drank all the juice out of it.
Oh, wow. So she's a pickle fanatic.
100%. And she gets it honestly. Like I buy the big half-gallon jugs of pickle juice.
Yes.
That's my Gatorade during hot summer months.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And it really is. Everybody thinks I'm crazy.
No, it is. It has a lot of electrolytes in it.
A banana for breakfast.
Yes.
You drink a 8 ounces of that in the morning and in the evening, and then you drink water through the day. Like it's got us through some tough times.
Absolutely.
So my little baby, she's first year cheer. She's done gymnastics since she was 3.
Oh, that's awesome.
I try to understand what she's doing, even though I can't do any of those moves.
You're going to be the assistant coach cheerleading. I'm just kidding.
I'd consider it. I'd consider it just because it was for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if she asked me, I'd probably do
time
it.
And all that. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Those kids are the reason I do everything I do.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard to imagine a place where I didn't do something for them.
Right.
So, every day, every client, every meeting, at the end of the day, it's something for them.
Yeah. So that's the inspiration right there.
That's it. Absolutely. I mean, I started this when I found out my ex-wife was pregnant with Mason.
Yeah.
So that was the trigger.
Yeah.
I'd gotten out of the Army. I was kind of in betwing what I wanted to do with my life. We all hit that spot where we're like, what's next? I don't know what to do.
Exactly. Right.
And I had somebody asked me, what about home inspections? You've been a foreman in the past. You grew up with your dad doing other stuff. And it kind of hit home. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? That's a good idea.
Right.
So I looked into it. And here we are.
Yeah, exactly.
That was in 2015. And my son was born. I was certified and licensed. And we've been blessed to make it as far as we have.
Absolutely.
I never imagined the support would be as overwhelming as it is.
Absolutely.
And this community is great. Just the people that reach out, the people that talk to you, just on a daily basis. How can I help?
Yes.
And it's amazing how they get you to the next level.
Absolutely.
And it's almost our obligation to do that back, right? When we were talking about helping the next people that are coming up.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't for that, I probably wouldn't have had the self-confidence or the awareness to keep pushing forward.
Right.
There's a lot of times where you go through those hard times. You're like, man, I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
I just can't keep going.
There's times I want to quit.
Exactly. And it's those other owners and that support system that kind of pushes you, hey, we've seen this before.
Yep.
This is where we're going. This is what's next. And we kind of owe it to the next guys coming up to do the same thing for them. Like,
absolutely.
Hey, man, just stick it out.
Yes.
It's a tough time.
Exactly.
Especially in the real estate world.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's waves, and a lot of people, a lot of newcomers don't understand those waves. And because a lot of our home inspection business is all based off the same thing, right?
Absolutely.
It's all market dependent. So when you go through economic waves, interest rate waves, influx, deflux, inflation, the whole 9 yards, it all plays its own part.
Absolutely.
We have to watch the market.
Yes,
and
exactly.
sometimes the market's not doing anything.
Absolutely, yes.
And when we're twiddling our thumbs, what's next?
Exactly.
And that inspired us to stretch out and bring, some of my dad's stuff to fruition about the pest control.
Right.
I remember being under houses as a little kid, digging trenches, running a hammer drill, and hopefully I can do Mason the same way.
Right.
And,
sitting there going, Dad, why?
Yeah.
Why?
I remember that's how I paid for a lot of my sports equipment.
Right. Yes.
That's it. Working for him was earning that.
Yes.
Right. That free labor.
Absolutely.
And the room and board.
Yeah. He taught you. Yeah. He taught you how to be an adult,
Absolutely.
because you don't learn that in school. They don't teach you.
I'm still figuring out how to be an adult.
Well,
right?
I guess I am too. But, in a way, he taught you some type of value to say, hey,
That's right.
There is a value to your time. There is,
Exactly.
and things cost money and you have to
absolutely
do what you got to do to get that.
If it wasn't for him, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think I talk to my dad on a daily basis, and he's no longer with us, but I still talk to him on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I remember those conversations that he was beating into my hard head
Yes.
as a young age. And I really wish I had soaked a lot more of that in.
Yeah, I know.
That's my uncle used to say that 90% of the world doesn't listen, but the 10% that does is successful.
Right.
I was the 90% for a long time. And
Yes.
it took me to, again, learn some hard life lessons
Right.
to realize, oh, they're right.
Yeah, exactly.
I should have listened a long time ago.
Absolutely. That's it. That's it.
Now that support system, it's still the same thing. Now you want to soak it all in.
Yes. Yes.
So I find myself having those conversations, replaying
Mm-hmm.
some of that stuff that he told me while I was just thinking I was just free labor under a house.
Yes.
It really was for a reason.
Absolutely. Yeah. All makes sense now, right?
You're out there sweating. It's 100 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
It's the middle of the summer,
crazy.
and he shows up and he's, finally pressed collar, combed hair, and he's not dirty at all. And he's like, "You want to go to lunch?" And I'm like, No, Dad, I'm sweating. But it really was for a reason.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
now that I'm the one on the other end,
Yeah, exactly.
You see what it's about.
Absolutely. That's it.
that's-
It. Absolutely. So where do you feel like you're going in the future for your business? Is there anything coming up or any future plans that you got in the works?
The plans is just continue to expand on the pest control side of things.
Mhm.
That's our main focus. I would love to be the local guy everybody chooses.
Right.
There's a lot of good companies in our area. There's a lot
Mhm.
of good guys in our industry, and they are some very, very knowledgeable guys.
Right.
And I think the world of a lot of them.
Mhm.
But we just want to be expanding that section of our business,
Absolutely.
trying to be a local face
Mhm.
to our market.
Mhm.
A lot of our old school guys have sold out recently.
Yeah.
They've changed names, changed
Mhm.
companies,
Mhm.
and I'd really like to show that local guys are still here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
yeah.
the service is still the most important thing, right?
Absolutely.
We want to put our focus on quality work. We want to put our
Absolutely.
focus on the service
Mhm.
and the relationships.
Mhm.
Most of our clients,
Mhm.
we know their kids, we know their dog's name. They
Yeah.
come up and run. And it's a very personal thing. And that's what we want. We want those relationships because at the end of the day, you're going to see us at the grocery store.
Absolutely.
You're going to see us at these kids' games.
Yes.
We want to shake your hand. We want to make y'all happy. And we want to make
Absolutely.
sure that relationship is the most important thing.
Absolutely. I agree with
At the end
that.
of the day, if you do everything right, the money comes afterwards.
That's
So
absolutely
it provides
correct.
itself.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to ask you the hard question now.
Hard questions.
Yes.
They're all hard.
I know, right? What is your definition of success?
That is a very hard question. At the end of the day, being able to know that you did the best you could,
Mm-hmm.
provide for your family,
Mm-hmm.
and just moving in a positive direction. I don't necessarily think that success is defined by one individual thing.
Yeah.
There's so many measures to it
Mm-hmm.
that some people overlook a successful life because they wanted too much.
Right.
Right.
Want more.
They wanted to put a quantity, a measurement, a monetary factor. There's
Mhm.
so much more, right? Like if my kids
Absolutely.
grow up to be great human beings and I get to see them have grandkids and I help support that system all the way
Yes,
through,
Exactly.
that's successful to me.
Absolutely.
So being able to do that through a business
Yeah.
is great. And
Absolutely.
if I never make it to have a 50 truck fleet and, be a statewide, nationwide name,
Right.
that's okay.
Yes. Yes.
It's the fact that I raised two good human beings
yes.
and that we made an impact in our community.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I believe that if you look at the smaller goals,
Mhm.
all the rest of them come.
Absolutely.
So.
I like that answer.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Y'all keep watching for another episode of Augusta Business Connection.